Hmm. Hi.
Hey,
Hello.
Yolanda. Hey, can you hear me?
Hi, Ian. How are you?
I'm doing.
Yes, I am. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can. I'm not the most tech savvy guy in the world. I'm gonna tell you.
No worries, no worries. Okay, well, let's get started. Tell me, who you are and where you're from.
Ian Franklin. I've been a resident of San Bernardino off and on for many years. I'm originally from Jersey. Um, Came out
Oh,
here as a young kid. Uh, got into a few difficult situations. Relocated back and then came back again. So I've been back here since about '96.
wow. Okay, so you've been in San Bernardino since 96?
Yeah.
Okay. And what gym do you train out of
Well, it's a
or
program
coach
that
out
I
of?
founded. The program I founded was originally called FIGHTS, which is an acronym for Faith in God Heals Troubled Souls, an amateur boxing program that has been around here for about 22 years. Um, and then I started a nonprofit organization about 13 years ago called Project Fighting Chance. And so I put
Wow.
the which was a ministry at the time in my church. I put it under the umbrella of my nonprofit and created a bunch of programming to try to help the whole child. And we have electric guitar lessons, we have tutoring, we have chess club, we have art class, spoken word, just allowing the kids to creatively express themselves.
That is awesome. And is that still active?
Oh, most definitely, and thriving. We actually just won the 2020 state nonprofit of the year, and I was like, it's
Wow,
funny. It's funny too because
that's an honor.
we was always labeled a boxing program, and the year that we couldn't do no boxing, we created a shift in our organization. Is when we created a value in the community.
Wow, that's really good. I'm really proud of you.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
so tell me about how did you get involved with boxing?
Um, as a young kid, I was in the street. You know, I grew up in a very challenged community. Came out here when I was 15. Was an interracial child in the hood, and so was always defending my mother, who was
Praise God.
white from England, and so I got in a lot of fights. And so one day, a police officer coaxed me to get in his car, but it took some coaxing because he was 5'0", and I said, "I'm not getting in your car." And long story
Hmm.
short, he took me to the boys' club and introduced me to a boxing coach, and it's something I loved. You know, I was an angry kid, and I just remember now I know it was this therapeutic effect of letting all my frustrations out on the bag, competing, and so I just fell in love with the sport.
That's awesome. So you did some amateur
Mhm.
uh, stuff.
Mhm.
Okay.
And you know it kept me kind of not on the straight and narrow, but I think if it wouldn't have been for boxing, a lot of worse things could have happened to me. It occupied my time in a positive way.
Yes, no, definitely. Coach Cutman Saw says
Yeah.
hello, I
Oh,
guess.
yeah.
Eh,
That's my guy.
Hey, Saw. Okay, well, tell me about how your program with boxing for the youth developed.
Um, Originally, and there's a if you go to projectfightingchance.org, we have a four-part docu-series that PBS did, and it tells a whole story. What happened when I first came back here? I had a kid who was very small for his age, and
Okay.
he used to remember back east. I used to go to these gyms in Jersey and New York, and he was like our little gym mascot, and he always remembered the boxing, but he was so super tiny. So when he came out here, he started getting in grade school and started getting picked on. So one day he came to me and said, "Dad, teach me how to box." And I asked him why. You know, I want to beat a, oh, no, wrong answer. So it took him about a month to come with the right answer of why he wanted to learn to box. And when he told me, he just wanted, he didn't feel confident. He wanted to be able to defend himself. He's getting pushed around. I said, okay. So I made a makeshift gym in my garage. And then before you know it, neighborhood kids would walk by and look and want to be a part of it. And then all of a sudden I had a 15 to 20 kids in the garage. And so our local newspaper did a story on us in the year 1999, and that's when it began. And so as I started to train these kids, we started going to amateur fights. Fights was created. I had gotten my life right spiritually, and that's why I gave it that spiritual name. We had a Bible study with kids. I was just trying to keep kids. It was a very, San Bernardino is a very challenged community, you know what I mean? And kids are facing a lot of obstacles, a lot of negativity that surround them. So what I wanted to do was create a safe place, a positive environment, and a place where kids could have fun and challenge themselves in the sport of boxing, because it's a very challenging sport. So before you knew it, my kid, the little kid, ended up going to the Olympic trials. He went on to the Olympic trials and made the team with Deontay Wilder and Gary Russell. And so they all lived at the Olympic Training Center for a year. And since then, we just started developing national champions. I think, you know, as you keep on doing something, you develop and you fine tune your system. And I believe I have a system. And so when Hopeful started filming us, we had 3 athletes that were all going to the Junior Olympics. And we went to the Junior Olympics. 2 of them won the nationals, and 1 went to the finals. After that, one of the kids' brothers, 2 brothers came on, and before you know, we have 5 national champions all in one gym at one time. And we just started taking off. I have currently, I'm training 3 national champions. One of my national champions is a pro, Lolo. He's 17 years old, but he's dynamic. He's 4-0 with 3 knockouts right now. We go to Mexico almost every other month. My other kid, Terrible Terry, I call him, Washington, #1 in the country. We're getting ready to go to Shreveport, and he hasn't lost in about 4 years, and that's hard to do in a 3-round amateur fight. You know,
Yeah.
so we've been having a lot of success. It's a tribute to kids working hard, kids believing in themselves, and kids just falling in love with the sport and staying out of the negativity that surrounds them and doing something positive. So.
That's great. That's great. And so do you work with pros at all now?
Lolo's a pro. Lolo's a pro.
Oh, okay. So you're only pro right now.
Well, yeah, I had another one, but there was a little bit. See, and he's still undefeated, but I just chose to go a different direction. If something isn't fun for me, I don't need to work with any pros. I mean, I would like to take a kid to the promised land, like with Terry. We're trying to get him to the Olympics because I think this kid can medal. But if a situation isn't right for me, I don't take part in it. And so.
Got it. Yeah. And how did you decide to become a coach?
My son. I love the sport. Years ago, I got stabbed in my shoulder in an altercation. I couldn't really do it at a high level no more. Boxing is not something you want to do at 75%. And so I had to make a decision of leaving something that I enjoyed, went on my pity pot for a few years, you know. Had a lot of problems at the time. Most of them were self-inflicted. And so it was my son that brought me back to the sport with his desire to learn it. And then all of a sudden I seen that I had a knack for teaching it. I feel like sometimes God gives you abilities to do something good with, and we roll with it. And, you know, I'm just leaving a community center that possibly is going to be ours, this huge facility that the city wants to really help Project Fighting Chance move into. And so there's so many good things that are happening. And, you know, I look at everything through a spiritual eye, and I feel God's intervention all throughout this, you know what I mean? And so I'm just pleased that things are going in a positive direction. And we're helping a lot of kids, you know what I mean?
That's great. That's great. I love it. Well, I'm going to open it up to any questions that any viewers have. Let's see. Saul, do you have any questions?
You asking, do I have any questions?
Oh, Saul was asking Saul.
Oh.
Since he knows you.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's just saying hello.
Yeah, I was just gonna say all I'm seeing is hello.
That's awesome. Well, um, I'm looking up at the other comments here. Oh, big surge. Okay. Good morning. Oh, okay. Here's some questions. What are your plans for the future?
My plans for the future is to expand my organization. My plans for the future, I have a dynamic board of directors. And in that, I feel like we could have a Project Fighting Chance Los Angeles. We could have a Project Fighting Chance Victorville. And so my plan is for one of expansion. Like this new
Mm-hmm.
facility right here, we're going to expand in the Inland Empire and have one in Rialto and one in San Bernardino. But I believe with all our wraparound services that we have something for every kid. There's something
Yeah,
that attracts a kid to where we're at. And so we want to give kids opportunities, and we don't charge nothing. We
that's
we
awesome.
we are a free program, and what happens is we are funded. You know, we get funding from the school district, the police department. We get assistance from the DA's office, and so we are supported, and we have great partnerships. So
That's
my plan
awesome.
is to, in a nutshell, is expansion.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. They're asking where is your gym located?
San Bernardino on the corner of Mount Vernon and Union.
Okay. And how much for adults?
Uh, we're not really an adult program. Young adults we do take, and it's free. We don't charge anything.
Okay. Wow, some people are weird. Okay. What is the most memorable fight that comes to mind?
I think my son winning his first national title and me remembering this kid that lacked confidence, this kid that helped me start this whole thing, and to see him get a national championship belt, it was just awesome. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of memorable
Oh, I
ones,
bet.
but that one to me was the most memorable.
I bet because you see the struggles and the hard work that they put in throughout the training, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. It says, when is Rialto opening?
Uh, we're just in negotiations. I haven't even acquired the building yet. But we're just talking right now.
Okay.
And it looks good, but I'm not sure. But stay tuned.
Definitely. And it says, do you recommend 10-year-olds sparring?
Of course, I would recommend 8-year-old sparring. We have
Yeah. I
all
mean, I've
eight,
seen 5-year-olds fighting.
but you know they can't compete until they're 8.
Hmm.
But I recommend kids fighting. I mean, sparring each other that are close in age, close in size, and working on skill levels. And so everything is very carefully monitored. And we're trying to build self-esteem, build self-confidence. And so when a kid goes in there and he puts everything to practice, and you know he comes out and you say, "Great job," it boosts that kid's ego. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Can you tell me what 3 life lessons you learned from boxing?
Well, I know what goes into boxing. We call the 4 Ds: desire, dedication, determination, and discipline. And if you take those 4 attributes, you can be successful in whatever you have tunnel vision and put your mind to. But I think those are all key. But life lessons, I think, is that hard dedication.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. No, nothing. Hello, everyone who's just joining in. I'm with Ian, and we're having technical difficulties. Nothing. What a bummer. But anyway, thank you so much if you could still hear me. And I'll stay in touch. And thank you for everything. Bye.